You know what they say, good things come in small packages. What's up YouTube, it's your boy, BMAC. And if this is your first time here to this channel, welcome, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you hit that subscribe button with all notifications turned on so that you never miss another video on this channel. And if you've been here before, or if you're already subscribed, welcome back. So today we're breaking down my review of this baby right here, the Google Pixel 4a. I am beyond excited and thankful to Google for actually sending out this Pixel 4a to me. It was a gift from Google, so Google, thank you. If you guys know me, you know I've always been intrigued by the Pixel line of phones. But before I get ahead of myself here, let's start things out as we often do with the design of the Pixel 4a. Let's talk about what's going on here with the design. The fly in here. So the Pixel 4a is made out of a matte finished plastic, and it's only available in one color, one size, and one storage capacity. Just black with dude, this fly's got a freaking chill. Just black, a 5.8-inch display, and 128 gigs of storage. That's it. Your only option. It's complete with two buttons on the side of the phone, which serve three different functions, a power button, and then you have your volume up and volume down combined dual button, an accented fingerprint sensor on the back, and of course a camera bump housing a single lens and a single flash. Switching things up to the bottom of the phone, you are gonna notice a microphone hole, a USB-C port, and a speaker hole. That speaker hole on the bottom of the phone actually working with the earpiece speaker on the top of the Pixel 4a, right next to the headphone jack you're also getting to give you some stereo speakers. All of this complete with a 60 Hz always on display. And I've said it on this channel before, I will say it again, for some reason, the Pixel devices just feel so darn good in your hand. Probably the best feeling smartphones in your actual palm. I don't know if it's the matte finish all around the device, or maybe it's just that Google magic bringing everything together to make this thing just feel so right when it's in your hands. Gets a definite pass in my book. But one thing in terms of design that you do have to keep in mind, there is actually no water resistance rating for the Pixel 4a. Now that's not a huge problem for me. I don't have a huge problem with my phones around water as it is. I'm usually pretty careful, so not a deal breaker, but it is something to keep in mind. It would have been nice to have at least some kind of official water resistance rating on this just for the peace of mind that that provides, but for the time being, just plan on it being anti-water friendly. Don't bring this thing near water. But moving things on now to the display, definitely one of the highlights of the Pixel 4a. First things first, we already mentioned it, it's an OLED display. This is kind of a rarity at this thing's price point. I am a huge fan of OLED displays. The difference that OLED technology makes in your viewing experience of the display between the colors and the contrast, immediate difference, something I specifically look for and I go, yup, that's sexy. And even though the display is only a 60 Hz refresh rate, it's OLED. So for me, that personally makes up for any kind of higher refresh rate that you'd want on a budget phone. A beautiful OLED display capable of upwards of 650 plus nits of brightness, which, like with other phones in that similar maximum brightness range, I personally find to be the sweet spot. Definitely, at least for my needs, usable even in direct sunlight. Could the display be brighter? Sure, I guess you could argue displays could always be brighter, but at that 650 nits around there, that level of brightness, like I said, if you just turn off dark mode, put on light mode, walk outside, even if you're in the sunlight, I don't have a problem. Plus, we do have to point out the bullet hole design in the OLED display here for that front-facing camera as opposed to a drastic forehead. The more that I'm using the Pixel 4a, the more I'm appreciating a bullet hole as opposed to a forehead or, God forbid, a notch. It just seems so much more complete to me, just more natural. The whole phone feels more complete with a bullet hole instead of some other design. So a huge thumbs up for the Pixel 4a display. See that? That rhymed. I made that rhyme. 4a, display. Next category. Next up, let's talk about the camera. The Pixel cameras have always been one of the most impressive features on the Pixel devices, so naturally, with the Pixel 4a, one of the features I was personally most excited for. On the back of the Pixel 4a, we have a camera bump housing which contains a single 12.2 f1.7 optically stabilized rear camera, capable of night sight, astrophotography mode, portrait mode, the works, and overall just pretty impressive image processing. You also do get that single lens on the front camera with that bullet hole, and there you are getting an 8 megapixel f2 lens, also capable of impressive selfies, portrait mode, and of course, again, that Google image processing. And heading out around town to capture some photos, I was photos, I like the results. The results were impressive. In the middle of the day, in cloudy situations, at night, overall, all the photos are captured on the Pixel 4a without any kind of retouching in post were exactly what you would expect from a Pixel device. Pretty awesome. Are the specs of the camera system insane? No, but I do think you'll be happy, maybe even pleasantly surprised with some of the results you are able to achieve with the photos taken on the Pixel 4a budget phone. But one area where there's a lot of talk going on with the Pixel 4a has to do with the performance. Namely, with some of the tech specs that this thing is rocking. Now, I know there are some people out there critiquing the Pixel 4a because of its performance, but in my testing, I found it to be pretty solid. Most certainly acceptable, again, considering the $349 starting price at launch. And I keep bringing price up throughout the course of this review because that is one of the most important things here. You're not looking at a flagship phone, you are looking at a budget phone. So as it relates to performance, will this thing make a splash with performance? No, but with your daily, normal, day-to-day activities that you're doing on a phone, you'll probably be fine. Inside, you're getting 6 gigs of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G chipset, which will ensure that you're not gonna experience any kind of serious lag or stuttering. The phone should work smoothly, and in my testing, definitely does. Now granted, this is a brand new phone, you'd expect it to run as fast as possible, but even down the line, I think you'll be happy with the performance that you're getting out of this thing, again, for just your normal day-to-day activities. If you're doing social media browsing, web browsing, email, some photo taking, maybe even some minor photo editing, maybe even some minor video editing, I don't foresee you being in any kind of situation where you're like, wow, this thing is slow, wow, this thing doesn't work, wow, this thing is a slug when it comes to performance. That's not gonna be a problem. And I do wanna sneak into this performance category, the actual phone unlocking process. On the Pixel 4a, as we've mentioned, you are getting that rear fingerprint sensor, which in my opinion is just so perfectly placed right where it needs to be. It is indented, accentuated a little bit, so when you're picking up the phone, your index finger just naturally finds that area. And with the tap to wake and raise to wake features built into the 4a, that combined with that fingerprint sensor, even though the 4a does not have face unlocking, sometimes it feels like it does because of how seamless that process is. Your fingerprint just naturally finds the sensor, and the phone's unlocked. I personally still love fingerprint sensors in phones these days. I think the Pixel 4a and other Pixel devices that have the fingerprint sensor implement it so well. It basically eliminates the need for any kind of in-display fingerprint sensor because it's just so natural. Do I wish the Pixel 4a had face unlocking? Of course, I wish every phone had that as a feature, but with the fingerprint sensor and the multiple ways to actually unlock your phone on the display itself with your passcodes and whatnot, the lock pattern as well, to me, not a deal breaker. Unless you plan on doing some crazy graphics intensive mobile gaming, or if you're gonna be doing some heavy photo and video editing, things that are gonna put this thing through the ringer, you'll be fine with the performance you get out of this thing. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're gonna get this budget phone just for your daily tasks, which most of you getting this phone are going to be getting this phone for, if you're the occasional mobile gamer with some simple games here and there, if you're a photo taker, video taker without a whole lot of editing going along with that, you'll love the performance you're getting out of this thing. But with all this going on, of course, we gotta talk about the battery in this puppy. How long is this thing gonna actually live? The Pixel 4a houses a 3,140 milliamp hour battery capacity, but we got a couple things working in favor of the battery here. We have a more efficient chipset, we have a decently sized battery capacity, and we have that refresh rate of the display locked in at 60 hertz. So those three things are gonna give you nothing crazy in terms of battery life on the Pixel 4a, but decent battery life for sure. Putting this Pixel 4a through the daily motions, checking your email, checking social media, watching some YouTube videos, you're gonna get probably at least a minimum of 5 hours of screen on time. With, of course, the obvious potential to get even more than that if you turn down your phone brightness, if you turn off push notifications for some apps, and if you limit the number of processor intensive tasks that you'll actually be doing on the phone. So when it comes to the battery on the Pixel 4a, again, common theme here, is it amazing? No, but is it good? Yeah. The real bummer here worth pointing out, however, is the lack of any kind of wireless charging. Of course, I love wireless charging. I would love to be able to take this Pixel 4a and just place it on any of my 5 different wireless chargers I have everywhere. So you are forced to charge the 4a through the USB-C charging port on the bottom of the phone, which is capable of fast charging, but at 18 watts. And that's nice, at least you have that. That will get you to about a 50% charge in about 30 minutes if you are in the single digit percentages of battery life. So if you gotta charge this thing up real quick, luckily you do have fast charging, so at least we got that. And overall, you guessed it, once again, taking the price into consideration, can't really complain. So with all this in mind, what is my conclusion of this 4a puppy right here? In case you couldn't get it by now, the Pixel 4a is definitely all about packing as much phone, as many features as possible into this thing without jacking up and skyrocketing the selling price. It is meant to be an update of the Pixel 3a, a new budget phone, but with some key upgrades that you're definitely going, this freaking fly dog. With some key upgrades that you're definitely going to appreciate, again, without running the risk of buyer's remorse. This thing's selling at a starting price of just $349 on launch day. The phone is simple, it is a budget phone, but honestly, if that's what you're looking for, this thing's a home run. There's a whole lot that you're gonna love in the Pixel 4a, nothing I could really think of that you're gonna hate, and it only costs the same price as a Netflix subscription if you finance it over the course of 24 months. That kind of puts things into perspective. As always, if you guys are interested in finding out more about the Pixel 4a or just to snag one of these babies for yourself, you guys could actually head to my affiliate link, bmac.link/pixel4a, bmac.link/pixel4a, or as always, there will be a clickable link in the video description box below this video as well, so check that out. And please do me a favor real quick. What are your thoughts on this thing right here? Do you like this puppy? Do you dislike it? Why do I keep calling it puppy? Why do you think I do that? Comment all your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm gonna go sit down for like the next hour just holding this thing in my hand. That's how much enjoyment I get out of holding this thing. Seriously, I could just sit here and this is like a fun thing to do. I'm not kidding. I will see you guys in my next video. I told you guys I wasn't kidding.